Hello everyone! Today I present you another tutorial for Clip Studio Paint. This time on the topic of one of its newest additions, the Liquify tool. This tool has been highly requested by all of us and CSP listened. I'll first show you a complete guide to the tool, and after the guide, I'll show you 3 different processes to create lettering posters with it, so you can grow accustomed to it while doing some fun practices instead of just listening to me rambling. First, let's check the tool. Previously in Clip Studio, if you wanted to transform your image by moving it or moving a section of it, you only had Mesh Transformation and Scale Rotate. These are great for moving large sections, but they can be stiff and inexact. Enter Liquify, a long-awaited addition to CSP's catalog of tools. It's excellent to move smaller sections or move an object with the precision and fluidity of a native brush. In CSP, Liquify is located on the Blend tool, next to the Blend group. You can also press J on your keyboard if you have the default settings. It has 7 modes. Let's see each one. The Push mode moves the image toward the direction you move the brush. With Expand, the area of the image that is touched by the brush gets larger. It's the reverse of Pinch, in which the area that is touched by the brush gets smaller. Push left displaces the image toward the left, or up if you're moving horizontally to the right. It's the reverse of push right, that displaces the image towards the right, or down if you're moving horizontally to the right. In twirl clockwise, the image gets twisted in the same direction as the movement of the hands of the clock, and is the reverse of twirl anti-clockwise, where it gets twisted in the opposite direction. We're going to see more of them further in the video, but for now, this will suffice. You can access the reverse of a mode while using another by pressing Alt on your keyboard, as seen here with twirl. There's an exception, however, with push left and push right. Both of them are direction sensitive, so if you move the brush downward or rightward, the image will be pushed as indicated by the brush. But if you move upward or leftward, the image will be moved to the reverse direction. So if you press Alt while moving upwards with push left, the image would move further left. Another modifier that affects how Liquify works is only referred to editing area. If you have this option turned off, the brush will reference the image beyond what is touched by the brush. If you have it on, only what is touched by the brush will be referenced. This also applies when an area is selected. The effect of the brush will not go beyond the selection, but it will take from outside of the selection, if only referred to editing area is turned off. Let's talk about strength and hardness. Strength determines the degree of intensity of the Liquify effect. If the level is 1, the brush will have no effect, and if it is 100, it will be very extreme. Hardness refers to the focus of the effect. If it is 1, it will focus on the very center of the brush. If it is 100, it will condense the effect on the area of the brush, creating a very clear border. Here I'm showing you how Liquify reacts in every mode, with the strength set to 50 or 100 and hardness set to 1, 50 or 100. Only referred to editing area is off. Hopefully, you can do a similar practice in Clip Studio Paint on your own. And thus ends the Liquify tool guide. If that's all you wanted to see, you can leave the video now. However, the Liquify tool is excellent for little edits that make all the difference in an illustration. Making the hand bigger, moving the nose a little down, changing something's perspective slightly. But something I love making and that the Liquify tool makes a lot more amusing to do is lettering posters. You know the type with the melting letters or the malleable designs? I just really love them. So I thought maybe I could show you the tutorials on how I do them. It's generally more fun for me to learn by making than by seeing, and even more so if I'm practicing with intent. So perhaps you could try making your own lettering posters to grow confident with Liquify. Anyways, let's begin. For this one, let's make some glitchy letters. In a canvas with a dark background, write your message with a long font. You can also stretch them down, don't worry. Don't forget to rasterize the layer by right-clicking on it and selecting Rasterize. Then use Liquify to further stretch down the letters. Once it is at the desired length, use the fingertip subtool in the blend tool to drag some of the borders, so as to not make it too stiff. Change back and forth between Liquify and fingertip until you are satisfied. Once you're set, duplicate the layer 3 times, set them to screen, and in level correction, located in Edit, Tonal Correction, then Level Correction, go to one of the layers and adjust the red channel by dragging the highlights output all the way to the left. Do this on each layer duplicate. One for the red channel, another one for the green channel, and lastly for the blue channel. You should end up with a yellow layer, a magenta layer, and a cyan layer. Later, I regret the yellow layer and erase it altogether, but it's up to you. Once you have all the layers, move them around a little with Liquify, so as to make them visible underneath each other. Then make your Liquify brush very smart, set hardness all the way up, and make horizontal passes on each layer, so as to make it look like there's a glitch. I changed the design midway and dragged the bottom all the way to the right because I thought it would look cooler. You can go back and forth with Liquify and fingertip all you want. Lastly, I added some textures. I like using this tool. For this one, I always turn up the bottom layer. Set the other two to screen for a distressed paper look. I also shift the colors a little with a tone curve correction layer. This is the final result. For this one, I will start by reshaping the layers into a trapezoid of sorts. Duplicate them twice and flip each copy, placing them so as to mirror the original board. Stretch them a bit and apply a motion blur filter by going to Filter, then Blur, then Motion Blur. I like to delete the overlapping area, but it's not necessary. You can merge everything together then. Once it's done, stretch the letters upward and downward with Liquify tool. Use fingertip to blur the connection between the letters. Once you're happy, duplicate the layer twice and move the new layers around with Liquify. I colored them red to make it easier to read, but in the end, I'll turn them to white. Once the design is how you like it, create a gradient layer by right-clicking on the layer panel, then New Layer, then Gradient. I initially used a rainbow gradient, but I later regraded it because I thought it made the design too complicated. Duplicate one of the layers and put it on top of everything. Give it a Gaussian blur by going to Filter, then Blur, then Gaussian blur. Duplicate this layer again. Set the top copy to overlay and color the bottom copy in pink and set it to vivid light. This will give it a blurry shine. To create a chroma effect, I made some lines in a blue color with the airbrush tool. I masked it to my group layer, set it to multiply, and modified the layer with Liquify so as to make it look as if it curved with the design. Finally, I added the texture and a tone curve correction layer. And voila! Here's the final result as you just saw it, but I wasn't happy with the colors and I changed it to a simpler gradient. Which one do you prefer? Okay, last one. Start on a duplicated layer of your work, with Liquify set to a high strength and only refer to the editing area turned on. Stretch the bottom of the layers until it forms an uniform line. Fill up problematic layers like I did with the Q, F, and Y to make them easier to stretch on their widest point. Once you have them on, select each one and put them, so as to have each one on their own layer. Lock the transparency of these layers. Fill each shape with the gradient tool. I chose black and white, but it doesn't matter because I will change the colors later. Once you're done, merge them the same layer and use Liquify to create shapes. Don't forget to soften it with fingertip lest it looks too stiff. I'm going to use a gradient map to color this one. You can find it by right-clicking on the layer panel, then New Correction Layer, then Gradient Map. I also added a vivid light layer following the same instructions as in the second tutorial. I thought we needed something else, so I added extra flames to the top. And just to show you it doesn't have to be complicated, I simply used an airbrush to create the initial figures. Then I modified them with Liquify. At this point, I also edited the white layers because they looked way too bland. Lastly, a couple more details, texture, and that's it. The design is done. Alright guys, that was it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me in the comments below. Have a great day and don't forget to keep creating.